Buonasera and welcome to Limit Hockey Show, brought to you by the Purple Rain Podcast. We've got another roster! Oh yeah, here we go. So after the shock of La France going first, we now have a second roster to reveal to you all, and we are staying in Group B. And it is Japan who have rebuilt their roster. This is going to be really exciting, isn't it? Especially how well Japan did. Should I bring it up? Yeah, you can. Good how well Japan did at the World Championships back in Prague. I'm going to bring it up now. So you give me 2 seconds to just do that. Talk about yourselves. Now, what's interesting about Japan is they're the only non-European squad in that group. The rest are all Europeans. Yeah. So Japan actually did do quite well. If we look at how they did the group stages, which I think was really impressive. So if we look at, so Japan came second in Group B, and they're only 3 points behind Sweden, who won the group outright. Sweden went undefeated in that group, and which did produce a snide comment. A snide comment. You jinxed Sweden. You said, why Sweden not in Group A? They're just wiping the floor while else in Group B. You said that, and it all happened. Sweden gets to the knockout stages, get locked out of the quarterfinals, and then they don't win the 5th place match. You jinxed Sweden. I just don't get why Switzerland's in Group A. I just don't. Well, you don't follow this, so I don't think you can really talk about that. Exactly. If you follow with us, you might have a better chance of having to say, but no, I don't. Can we just look at what result Japan had against Sweden there? Yep. It was a 2-0 win for Sweden over Japan, so they shut out. But I think Japan played well, largely, but Germany just faltered. I mean, Japan only suffered 1 loss in the group stages. Whereas Germany was a complete mess. But what's interesting is how in that World Championships, Japan, they didn't really score as many goals as they could have. It's interesting, how you have Germany scored 11, Sweden scored 17, Japan only scored 8. But because Germany was a complete disaster, obviously means they finished third in the group rather than second, which they could have done. But yeah. And we remind ourselves having the knockout stage for Japan. So they finished second in Group B. And that meant that they would go head to head with, let me find it. It's Canada. Yes, that meant they would go head to head with Canada, and it was just no competition. Canada just destroyed them. Well, it was interesting when we got to the knockout series how Canada just showed no mercy. It was like, just the high score we saw in that was just, oh my god. Because obviously they destroyed Japan 9-1 in the group quarterfinals. They then destroyed Finland 8-1. Yep. Yeah. That's my game to the goal man match. You probably would have thought, oh my god, Canada's going to win this outright. Because their scoring was just went up a gear. So, yeah, but yeah. Finland! I know, right? The same Finland that scores to do that Wales go and destroy the field in the Women's Euro Hockey Tour. Yep. The same Finland that we think could close the gap one day. Yep. Honestly, the knockouts were just so bizarre because Canada, it just almost like it just went up another level. It was like, what the hell? Yeah. You just think, oh my god, are we even going to be able to match against them? Yeah. Yeah. But then, it did go to overtime to go on the match, which was a surprise, but yeah. So Japan is going to be really interesting because you look at Japan and you think, based on what we see with the World Championships, they haven't been able to do that well. Yes, she's managed to get through to the knockout stages, and yes, they did very well in the qualification for these Olympics, managed to win the qualifier quickly. Can you bring that up? Yep. So I can do that now. Again, tout cells. So we're going to be interested to compare how Japan did. Yep. The United States we're not really going to be that familiar with. No. Whereas Japan, one of those countries you think, really? They've got ice hockey here? Well, it's one of those countries you think, oh my god, how did it host the Winter Olympics? Say with China. So I'm so looking forward to with these guys is knowing the snow is actually going to be real and not artificial. That was so because at one point the snow was like, oh look, it's snowing! And you were like, no, that's artificial. It was! There's no snow in China. There's hope for us yet. No! 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 Right. So when we talk about the qualification, Japan just walked their group. They won all 3 games outright. Scored 17 goals. So their goals score increased a bit there. And they only gave up 2 goals across the entire time. I want to look at who that was against. I want to see that. Who managed to score over Japan? I want to have a look. Oh, so it's France. They beat France 7-1. Then the other one was... well, they hosted China. They beat China 4-1. They're in the same qualification group as France. Yep. Look at some of these scores. France actually didn't do that too bad. I mean, France, actually, look at it, scored 14 goals across that. Then China and Poland were just no shows. Was that what I was? Yeah. They were in a group with France, China, and Poland. So France and Japan will have experience meeting one another because obviously same qualification group, whereas Germany and Sweden were in different groups. They're not going to have that advantage. So the Japan-France game might actually now be just a bit more exciting because these two teams have previously each other in the qualification group. So that could be very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Okay, so we're now going to go through this roster. No PHL representation, by the way, just to let you know. So here we go. Right, we're going to start. Have we done Japan's coach yet? We did a bit on that. Right, we need to do that. We're the same person we are with France. We've not done the coach bit yet before the roster's... I know. Right. Right, that'll be the next bit we do. Right, okay. We can do what I did with France and publish them both on the same day. It's fine. Right, don't worry about that. Right, okay. So you will get before this episode, you will get an episode on Japan's coach. Okay, right. So here we go. So we're going to go through Japan's roster. So we'll start with the forwards. Okay. So we have, in the forwards, we have Makiato Ito, 21, Toyota Sigurus. Remy Koyanada, 25, Cebu Princess Rabbits. Suzuka Mida, 29, DK Paraguay. Mie Miura, 27, Toyota Sigurus. Rio Noro, 21, Daishin. Riri Noro, 21, Daishin. Umika Urua, 17, Daishin. Ako Shiga, 24, Luca HF. Aitada, 19, Daishin. Haraka Toko, 28, Linkopig HC. Rui Ukita, 29, Daishin. Yumika Wojima, 23, DK Pergarine. Have we got any defenders from Daishin? It's the way you said it. No! That's like your take. That's like taking the piss out of Uncle when he says the word murder. No! It's my accent, and you know I'm very bad at pronouncing names. Oh, there is one. I'll do it. Oh! Thank you, lady. No point putting the sim in, because this is not supposed to take long. Just stay there. Right, defenders. Nana Akimoto, 16. 16! Yep. 16! Yep. Pergarine. Aika Hitasoro, 31. Linkopig HC. Akiin Hosamania, DK Pergarine. Shiri Koki, 32. DK Pergarine. Kohan Sato, 19. Daishin. Kanami Siki, 25. Cebu Princess Rabbits. Oya Shiga, 26. Modo Hockey. Shiroi Yamashita, 23. Cebu Princess Rabbits. And finally, the goaltenders. We have Ri Hiran, 24. Yarbrots HK. Riko Takuroki 21, Dashin. Mio Mashara 24, DK Pergarine. And that is Japan's roster. Well, Dashin must be a very good program to have all these players in it. That's woo la. Wow. And a mix across the forwards, all right, forwards, netliners, and defenders. Yeah, must be a great program. They are Japanese listeners. If you're not too offended by the mispronunciations, you will let us know if it is a good program. Please do. I would love to hear from Japan. Well, it would not be great to hear. Oh, we got views from Japan. Yeah. So it kind of feels like with France. It kind of feels like it's going to be interesting for us to see, because obviously, without any Pluto representation, we're not going to be really familiar with what their roster is going to be like. Actually, if we look at previous games, which I think we can do for Japan. I'm just going to look at their history. Yeah, because obviously with France, we can't do that, because obviously France are competing at the Winter Olympics for the first time in the women's tournament, whereas Japan, I think we can potentially look at that previous experience. So yes, we can. So for Japan, they have competed at the Olympics in 1998, which of course was at home games, and we didn't see them again until 2014 in Sochi, and then again 2018 and 2022. Look at Japan haven't actually done that badly. I mean, in 1998 they came in 6th place, and then in 2014 it was 7th place, and then in 2018 and 2022 6th place. So they actually don't do that bad, Japan. Now they find a way to get past the group stages, and then knockouts is where they seem to falter. But then again, the knockouts you then get reseeded, and then if you get on the highest place, the highest seed, chances are you're not going to probably do that as well. Can you also just compare World Championship records as well? Yes. So it's sort of a similar record. So we talk about the last two, which was me, you were a Bob Lady. In 2025, they finished in 7th place, and in 2024, they finished in 8th place. I think Japan's one of those teams where they could potentially compete, but it's just. I mean, if they were to somehow top the group, they would have had a better opponent in the quarterfinals. Probably still get beat. But it wouldn't be as such a lopsided, because that quarterfinals in Prague was just so lopsided. It really was. It was just like, I mean, we were like, what? Yeah, it was like, eh? Because we'd spent the group stages praising Japan, especially how they managed to get one over Germany, and how they managed to beat Germany and get above Germany in the group, which of course people was. I think going into the World Championships in 2025, Yumi kind of felt Japan would finish third in the group and not second. So, and if they had finished third in the group, it would have been probably a lot more worse for them, because they would have had to then play us instead of Canada. So there's always going to be a doomsday match for Japan in that group, in the knockout stage in Prague. It's just, was it going to be us or was it going to be Canada? So, yeah, because we made light work of Germany. Well, Germany didn't compete. Yeah, didn't compete. Yeah, so yeah, I agree. I feel like Japan is a competitive roster. It'd be interesting to see how well they do. Yeah, but yeah, so very excited. What do we kind of feel Japan's chances are in Milan? How do we think they're gonna probably fare? I think we could definitely see them in the quarterfinals. It's all gonna come down to how they do in those group stages. Is it sort of similar to Prague? Do you think Sweden would top the group? I wouldn't be surprised, especially as how obviously they're familiar with Japan and Germany, having played them in the World Championships. in Prague. But I don't know. It's a tough one. They could easily make life easy in France, and that could really help them. But they would need to get a good result over either Germany or Sweden to have a chance at potentially having a better result than they probably would expect to get. So I think Japan will definitely get to the quarterfinals, but the question then is what happens then? Because they could very well likely end up having to face even also Canada, and then bye bye. Then sayonara. Yeah. No. So, right. But this sounds like a very interesting roster. There's not too much youth in there, which is probably. I mean, we did one 16-year-old, which brings a bit of a. Yeah. It's a good rest of sort of 20s upwards, which is a good mix. Yeah. So impressive roster. Yeah. So they're coming in thick and fast now. I mean, let's try to look at when do we get Japan? Because obviously France we got on Christmas Eve, and then after Christmas it's like there's a new roster out. Were you watching? Was it on the set? Was it on the set as a take up at all? I think that's when we found out. So obviously you had to start late to watch your Sharks playing Vancouver. Yeah. Yeah, that was a long night for me. Let's see if I can try to get up. It was on the 27th of December, so it was our first game back from the Christmas break. We had to take a tour game to Edmonton. That's easy. I had to stay up late to watch my Sharks play the Canucks. It was during one of the breaks in play. We found out Japan had announced its roster. And we also watched K-pop. We watched K-pop! We finally got around to watching K-pop. It's a brilliant film. It's actually quite a brilliant film. I know you've been saying why did it not get released in cinemas? Because that's kind of it's a film you could easily see do very well at the box office. Yeah. So you are just constantly listening to that soundtrack. I know K-pop's not a genre I listen to. And I think a lot of people like me. A lot of people are really familiar with K-pop. So yeah. Yeah, I do listen to a couple of songs on repeat quite a lot since then. Yeah, so so December 27th. That's when Japan announced its roster for Milan Cortina. And this is going to be the fourth consecutive appearance for Japan at these games. So that's really good news to keep that streak up. Yeah. So we got an update for rosters. I think we were expecting Czechia to go next. Yep. Because Czechia is going to be announced on January the 6th. However, we did get an update from Karl Kushman, and it looks like it's going to be the US who go next. Oh, it could be. It sounds like it is going to be the Americans who are going to go next. And that is going to be... That's going to be a thriller. Yeah, that is going to be a thriller. Yeah, so I'll let you give the dates. Yeah, so this is what according to Karl Kushman, the US will announce its roster on January the 2nd, and Canada will now announce its roster on January the 9th. Originally, we were expecting Canada to announce their roster on January the 15th, but that's now been moved forward. So we'll see how that goes. If they stick to those timelines. So are you saying we could find out who's on our roster before our next Frost game? Yep. Because our next, no, because we're recording this episode before our next game, actual next game against the Scepters. So before our first game of 2026, we could potentially get the rosters for America, but not before our next game, because our next game is December 30. In Tio, we're on a bit of a Canadian road trip. We're seeing all 4 Canadian teams, although one of them not in their respective home market, but that does not matter. That does not matter at all. Yeah, so this is going to be exciting. So the next roster video next roster episode, I should say, could very well be about the Americans. It could very well be. That is really exciting. How many Frost players will we get on that roster? How many will we get on that roster? We will have to wait and see. Have you got any more final thoughts on Japan? Go on, say Darcy World. I will not! I will not! That's like trying to say to Alan Cummings, say murder! You know, Betrayer's right. Yeah. The US season premieres a week after our season. Yep! What's the best about the red cloak? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sounds like season 4 is when the game's gonna break for us. Sounds like the game's gonna break. I'm like, oh no. Well, that's Alan Carr's fault. The celebs were too nicey. They were. Too nicey. It's the game! Being ruthless! Yeah. You're there to win £100,000 for charity! We want to see throats get slit! Metaphorically, not literally! I was like, what? Not literally. That's the traitor in George talking. You guys know full well if I ever did that show, I would demand to be a traitor. I would not want to be faithful. I would demand to be a traitor. Yes, but it does sound like that for our new season, which is going to be starting on New Year's Day, it does sound like that the game's going to get broken. They're going to bring some things in that are going to probably just shake the game up and probably make it for the worse, like the Seer did last year. So the US start a week after us, but I don't know if we will get it on iPlayer straight away. It might be. And of course, I've got episodes of that during the Olympics. The US one. Yeah, bad move. Yeah, bad move. Yeah. Yeah. So. Anyway. Any final thoughts on Japan is what we're supposed to be doing? I know, it's the new type of traitors. We're excited. Give us Ireland! The BBC has still not put Ireland on iPlayer, and I want to watch Ireland, because Ireland were just so savage for their first outing. Did they get renewed? Yeah. Oh, thank God for that. They got renewed. They're going to have a second season. Okay. Japan's roster, I think it's an exciting roster. It'll be interesting to see how this roster fares, but you're probably maybe looking at the quarterfinals at the most for Japan. Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. I think on paper, it sounds like a good roster, but we'll have to see how it all pans out when obviously we get to Milan in February. So I think that's a good roster. So, yeah.